Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Jason.
I'm Jared, and we're coming to you live from Nexus Game Lounge in Wichita Falls, Texas.
Thank you for joining us, and welcome to our ongoing coverage of our Nexus Warhammer 40K map campaign.
And tonight we're going to be revealing the campaign actions for Turn 2.
And we're going to dig into those actions and see if we can uncover the plans behind the leaders of our campaign armies. It should be a lot of fun, so stick around.
I know, and I am super excited.
All right, well, let's get right into it. We're going to be taking a look at the map here in just a moment, and we're going to go through everybody's actions to see what everybody did. So let's take a look right now. We're going to start with the move phase, or the move round, where everybody submits actions to move their armies around, maybe try to move into an unoccupied region, or otherwise sort of shift things around on the map.
Position themselves in the proper spaces.
All right, so here's our map as it stands. As you can see, we've got a lot of folks that are spread out across the battlefield. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 unoccupied territories as we move into, or 10 technically, as we move into turn 2.
So starting out the gate, High Fleet Charybdis is going to occupy from its original space I-4 to I-3 with 5 force unit points.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anyone to stop them. They're top of the initiative chart this turn, so they successfully move in there. Next up, we've got the Slaughtered Sons, who they're moving in their armies from J1 to K1, as you can see in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Again, nobody to stop them, so their 2 force units successfully take over that hex.
And then the next is going to be the Guardians of the Temple. The Space Marines are going to abandon C3 to move 5 force units to D3.
All right, so they're giving up control of C3 altogether, which is an interesting move, being that it's a fairly nice territory to hold on to. So we'll see how that works out for them. Next, we've got Knights of Shadow down in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, and they're moving 3 force units from H5 to H4.
And then we have the Rivals of Khorne from moving pretty much across the map, occupying I6 to K2 with force unit points.
So it looks like I've got them moving 2 force units. Is that right? Okay, I'll double check the accuracy of that. But they're using the demon special ability that lets them sort of pop in and out all over the map. So they're moving way up into K2. Looks like they're trying to find some safe refuge in the upper right-hand corner of the map there. So after them, we've got the Talons of the Emperor. They're down there on the lower left, and they're just going to reposition some of their forces by moving 3 force units from C6 up into C5.
And then we have the Sisters of Battles, the Adeptus Sororitas, occupying A4 to B3 with 4 force units.
Yep, and nobody was there to stop them, so they were able to successfully move into that empty territory and claim control of it. Then we got the Farsight Expeditionary Force. They are holed up in the lower right-hand corner, and they are moving into, it's like J5, and they're moving in with 5 force units. Now, that's the region that last turn the Tyranids ate the whole region. So it currently has a resource rating of 0, making it not very valuable, but maybe there's some strategic value to that makes them want to move into it.
And then we finally got Pager's Raiders occupying F2 to F3, just moving just a little bit, position themselves, just getting in position to possibly hit some knights and some Death Purple Orcs.
Yeah, we'll have to see about that. The Purple Death Orcs were unhappy that Pager's Raiders were higher on the initiative list than them. So they managed to get into F3 without anyone stopping them. Next, we've got the Wog Squad.
The Wog Squad.
That's Jared's army here. They also attempted to move into I3. However, it looks like High Fleet Charybdis beat them to it, meaning that action is not successful. So they were not able to move in there.
Then we got Cut and Run, some chaos is going to try to occupy L2 to L1, and he does pull it off.
All right, so now those 3 territories in the upper right-hand corner that went unoccupied all have uh, some new ownership. So we'll see now that that's all shored up there. It looks like it's all shored up by Chaos.
It's a chaos corner.
So we'll see how that works out. Next, we've got the Sons of Sanguinius. They're in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, and they're going to do a little bit of repositioning, moving 3 force units from B1 to B2.
And then we have the big boys, the Court of the King. Some knights trying to occupy G4 to F3. Now, unfortunately, someone already grabbed it, and that's going to be unsuccessful.
Yeah, Pedro's Raiders beat him to the punch for F3, so that move is unsuccessful. Then we've got the Ultramarines also attempting to do a move. I'm not sure if they just weren't quite paying attention, but they attempted to move 3 force units from D1 to E3. Unfortunately, E3 was already at its force cap, so it can't hold more than 7 units. So unfortunately, that move was unsuccessful.
You only have so many mouths to feed, so many resources you can use. And then we have the Adeptus Custodes. They didn't do anything. It's just like, nope, it's like, I'm good.
Crimson Slaughter, they are moving from, they also chose not to take a move action this time. So they're just sort of staying put, seeing how things move out.
And then we have the Cadians. They don't have any places to move, so they just kind of stayed in that corner there.
Yep, yeah, they haven't moved either. So then we have the Purple Death. They're not a lot of moves they can make now that they've been boxed in by Pedro's Raiders, but they did move 1 force unit from G2 to G3. So they're trying to reinforce their front there.
And then we have the Night Lords. They are going to occupy D4 to E4. Successful. Unchecked.
Sorry, that's coming right up. There we go. So yeah, D4 to E4. They move 5 force units into E4 successfully. So then we've got after them is the Siberian Sisters. Nobody's claimed D2, so they swooped right in, moving from C2 to D2 with 3 force units.
And then we got finally those Grey Knights in that bottom left corner there. They just kind of stayed where they were at. They didn't move.
They're boxed in with this by the Sisters of Battle and the Adeptus Custodes there. So we'll have to see if they just hang out or how that works as it plays out between them. So now you see all of the turn 2 moves on the map. As you can see, there's a lot of moving around, some expansion into unoccupied territories. Interestingly enough, there's still 1 unoccupied hex. A little surprised by that, but there you have it.
Yeah, right in the middle of the map too.
So so that's the first round of turn 2. Everyone get a good look at where things have moved, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to the second phase, which is the build phase. All right, so here's the map after all of the moves, or for the most part. And you can see, I corrected, there are 2 unoccupied hexes. I forgot that the Guardians of the Temple had abandoned C3, so now that's up for grabs as well.
Yes, correct.
So we have a new initiative list for the build phase. We'll see how that shakes out. I mean, keep in mind, a player can sacrifice their build action to gain a second move action. So we're likely to see some movement in this phase as well. So without further ado,
we're start with the Farsight Expeditionary Force. They were just gonna build. They're staying in J5, just building their forces there.
That was the region that the Tyranids had previously eaten. So they're trying to bring it back to life and find something useful there. So all right. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Pedro's Raiders are going to transfer from some unit forces there, about 4 of them, from E1 to F2. And then we have the Rivals of Khorne building forces in their new old spot at I6.
All right, so we see there, so we got some resources built, we got some force capacity being raised, and then we have Pedro's Raiders moving 4 force units from their shored up hex, which doesn't really have a lot of enemies around it, out to the front where they're more likely to get attacked. So that's a fairly smart move. Then we've got Talons of the Emperor. They're going to increase the force capacity of C5, and the Ultramarines they're going to do the same thing in D1. And then cut and run, they're going to improve the resources of L2.
Then we go from the Knights of Shadow. We're going to transfer from G6 to I'm sorry, I apologize, H4. Then we're going to have the Crimson Slaughter building forces in K3. And then the Court of the King transferring from G5 to F5.
Now, unfortunately, they wanted to move 3 force units, but they were unable to do so due to the capacity of the
of that region.
So they were only able to move 1 instead of the 2 that they wanted to put in there. So the Siberian Sisters, they built the forces in D2, which is the force capacity, excuse me, in the new territory they just took over. D2, and then Dewag Squad. Your army is going to build its force capacity in H1.
And then we have the Guardians of the Temple building forces in C4. We also have the Night Lords building forces in E4. And then the Adeptus Sororitas, the Battle Sisters, are building defenses in B4.
Yep. So now we see a lot of people working to improve the force capacity of their territory so far. Adeptus Custodes over there in E5. Oops. There we go. E5. Sorry, just kind of following along here. They wanted to build their forces up. And then High Fleet Charybdis in J4, they just decided they're going to eat that region.
Much.
That gives them, let's see, there's a resource rating of 2, so their special ability doubles that and then instantly gives it to them. So that'll bump their forces up to 9.
That's going to be a force to be reckoned with there.
Yeah, it is.
And then we have the Cadians. It's kind of still stuck in the little corner. They're going to build some resources in A2. A very good idea for them.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. They're already kind of at their force capacity. So unless they find a way to break out of their corner, the extra resources may not help them as much as extra force capacity could have.
And then we actually have the Sons of Sanguinius occupying. He chose to move instead to B2 from C3 into C3.
Right. Now, that used to be occupied by the Guardians of the Temple. So perhaps they're working together with the Ultramarines getting out of the way so the Blood Angels could move in.
And then there's the Purple Death building resources in G2, building up some forces there.
Yeah, they're going to need that if Pedro's Raiders keep building up there.
Yeah, it's like building each side and making the walls there.
A little Cold War going.
Oh, yeah. Who's going to take the first shot? And then we have the Slaughter Sons building forces in J2.
All right. And then lastly, the Grey Knights. They're going to build up their force capacity in B5. So that's the build phase, guys. So take a look at the map there. You'll see all the territories that have been improved, as well as the yellow lines, which indicate some additional troop movement that occurs during the build phase. All right. So now we get to move on to the exciting part.
Oh, it's super exciting part.
Right. The exciting part, which is the attack phase. The attack round. So now we get to find out where people invaded, how hard they invaded, and how bad they're getting invaded in response.
Yeah, turn 1 was a lot of sizing up people.
Yeah, absolutely. So without further ado, High Fleet Charybdis, they just bolstered their numbers by eating J4. Now that leaves them with 9 force units, which is over their capacity, but the Tyranid special ability allows them to cram a lot of Tyranids into a little space, so they can go above that capacity. So let's see what they're planning on. They're planning on invading the Knights of Shadow with a huge mass of Tyranids.
That's a big number.
That's 8 force units. That's a 2,000 point army coming at the Knights of Shadow. Now they've got 6 force units there, and they're playing defense, so they can probably handle that.
They can handle most because they are Knights. They are strong.
Yeah.
Especially
Chaos Knights are savage, so
that's a lot of numbers coming your way.
It is.
And then we have the Night Lords that they're going to actually build some more forces there at D5.
Yeah, so they've sacrificed their attack in order to get a second build action, which you can absolutely do. They're followed up by the Farsight Expeditionary Force. So it looks like the Tau want to break out of their little corner over there. Let's see what they plan on. Oh my gosh. It is a multi-front battle. So the Tau are they are entering the fray between the Chaos Knights and the Tyranids. Now I don't know if they are working together, if they're working with the Knights, or if they're just maybe trying to come in and take over after the other two slug it out.
Yeah, let the Tyranids do all the fighting. We'll
But-
sweep in for the victory.
Right, but make no mistake, only one army will emerge from that victorious.
Three
So-
men enter, one man leaves.
That's right.
And then we have the Purple Death and are going to invade G3. From G3 to H3.
That's right.
With a big army.
The Purple Death is moving 5 force units in against the demons, who currently have 6. So we'll have to see how that battle shakes
It's
out
a little uphill battle, but it can be done.
a little bit. Then we've got, the Guardians of the Temple. They're going to make an invasion against the Night Lords. Now they're bringing 4 force units. However, the Night Lords just evacuated for the most part
Yep.
D4, leaving only 1 force unit behind. So that's 1,000 points of Ultramarines versus 250 points of Night Lords. I imagine the Night Lords will probably make a strategic withdrawal, but maybe it's worth a last stand.
We could see the first last stand of this campaign.
I would love to see that. Last stand would be awesome.
That's bitter, and I'm going down. You're going down.
For those of you guys who are following along and don't know what that is, a last stand is a move you can make where you sacrifice your defenders in order to inflict even more damage against your opponent as a part of the campaign. The campaign rules can all be found on our website, www.nexusgamelounge.com. So if you want more information about what we're talking about, feel free to take a look. They're pretty exciting rules.
And then we have the Court of the King is going to invade from F5 to G6.
Now that's something we love to see, right? The Imperial Knights slugging it out with the Chaos Knights.
Finally, some chaos versus order. That's chaos versus chaos.
Unfortunately for the Knights of Shadow, they just moved a whole lot of their force units out of that territory, leaving only 2 behind for defense. So that's 1,000 points of Imperial Knights versus 500 points of Chaos Knights. That seems like less of a fair fight.
Yeah, you see that spread there. The Knights of Shadow, they don't have a lot of forces down there. And they're getting big.
And the way it looks right now, the Knights of Shadow are going to they look like they're going to take some losses this turn. So they may have to spend some rebuilding time after this. Or who knows? Maybe they'll pull out some brilliant strategic maneuvering and they'll come out on top.
Dice rolls ultimately decide who's going to win.
All ruled by RNG.
The RNG madness. And then we have the cut and run. They're going to build some more resources in L3 to just maintaining that spot.
That's right. Dewog Squad is your other orc horde. They're making an invasion against the Slaughtered Sons, moving from I1 to I2. They're bringing 5 force units against the 6 force units that are currently in that territory. So that's pretty close to a fair fight. We'll have to see how that one goes down.
Then we got the Pedro's Raiders. Still having that Cold War situation. They're going to build some forces in F1.
Oh, I hate to see it.
You hate to also love to see it.
Yeah, I love to see it and I hate to see it as the purple orcs that are getting a wall of Space Marines built up against them. I'm not a huge fan of that, but I respect it. Then the Rivals of Khorne, the demon army we've got. They're making an invasion across the field against Crimson Slaughter, another Chaos army, and they're moving out of H3. Now, keep in mind when all of the players submit these actions blind, so they don't know what the other armies are going to do.
So what does that mean, Jason?
So what that means is the Rivals of Khorne are moving 5 of their force units against the Crimson Slaughter, which means only 1 of those force units is available for defense. So the Purple Death has 5 force units coming in, which means it'll be 5 force units or 1,250 points versus the 250 points remaining of the Rivals of Khorne. So they'll probably make a strategic withdrawal.
So they'll only have 1 force unit in that space.
Correct.
To defend against the Horde.
Correct. Just like the Purple Death would be if one of these other guys were to launch an invasion into G3, which could still happen at this point. So
So we have
So yeah, so as they go through, again, that'll probably result in a strategic withdrawal. So we'll see how that goes.
then we have these Slaughter Sons are going to invade from I2 to H1. So I kind of know the situation again.
Again, all right. So this is a great one.
Hey, you are lucky. Look at that.
I don't know if we're lucky, but
Well, okay,
so the Slaughtered Sons launched an invasion against the WoW Squad. They just went in the wrong direction, or maybe the WoW Squad just went in the right direction. But either way, that'll be an interesting. So that'll be two battles, one over the fate of I2 and the other one over the fate of H1. So we'll have to see how that shakes out. But the Slaughtered Sons will only have 2 force units to defend against the 5 force units that are coming from I1, whereas H1 will have 4 force units to defend against the 4 force units coming from I2.
More like an even fight, and then
That'll be
not a so even fight coming out.
Yeah, then give me your lunch money fight.
Sure, my lunch money.
So after the Slaughtered Sons, we've got Talons of the Emperor. They're going to make an invasion, and they're moving. Oops, I might have messed that up there. That's okay. So the Slaughtered Sons, no, Talons of the Emperor are invading from C5 to B5. So they're moving against the Grey Knights. And the Adeptus Sororitas are also doing the same thing. So I'm missing an arrow. I apologize for that. Yeah, just keep an eye on Hex C5. There's some force units moving in. How many force units? I'm sorry.
Force units about 5. 7?
6.
Oh, 6.
6 is all they can move in there. So there'll be 6 force units moving in from C5 against the 6 force units in B5.
And then the Adeptus Sororitas is going to move 5 units.
5 force units against the Grey Knights, 5 in A5. So those will be 2 different battles that we'll have to sort out on Sunday, and that'll be pretty darn sweet.
And then we have the Adeptus Custodes are going to build again in E3. And then we have the son of Sanguinius building forces in C3. And then finally, some Ultramarine action. They're just going to try to occupy E3 and F3. Unfortunately, that occupation is going to fail because it is taken over.
That's right. Pedro's Raiders beat them to it, so that's a failed action there. The Cadians on the upper left-hand corner, they're going to spend their attack action to build up their force capacity, which is a smart move, especially since the Imperial Guard special ability lets them spend 1 action and get the benefit in 2 territories at the same time. So that'll be great. However, in order to win the campaign, you got to have more than 2 territories.
That's true, but I mean, he's building walls and he's building an army. So he's going to slowly start approaching something.
When he comes out swinging, it'll be with Hulk hands.
Yep, a lot of guards, a lot of guns. And then we have the Crimson Slaughter are going to invade K4 into J3. Looks like some forces units of 4. That doesn't look good for the Tyranids.
It does not. 4 force units against the 1 force unit of Tyranids. That'll be an interesting setup. So again, it will likely be a strategic withdrawal, but I could see the Tyranids doing a last stand too.
I mean, Tyranids, all they got to do is eat more territories.
We're hoping to see last stands across the board. I think that would be great.
That would be fun. It would definitely change the dynamic of these battles. And then we got the Knights of Shadow going to invade from H4 to G5 with 5 force units.
Now that'll be a good battle.
Yeah.
5 force units of Chaos Knights versus 4 force units of Imperial Knights. It'll only be a few robots each, but it'll be a fairly even battle and a little bit of a slugfest.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to seeing that battle play out.
Absolutely. Then we got the Siberian Scissors are going to make the first targeted strike of this campaign, I believe, from C1 to D1. That's going to be only 2 force units. I think the cap for an invasion is how many force units?
10.
10. Okay.
No, 8.
8.
Excuse me, 8. 2,000 points is the maximum army size for these games. But a targeted strike caps out at 2.
Okay.
And so it's a smaller battlefield with a lot more terrain, and it's 500 points on 500 points.
So it makes it a little bit more even for those teams to fight against each other without risking things.
And it represents a small strike team coming in and doing a whole bunch of damage. So the Siberian Sisters, for whatever reason, have decided to come up and hit the Ultramarine from behind and just sucker punch him with a targeted strike. So
They probably had a whiff of some kind of heretic action going on with the Wolverines.
you know, for whatever reason it is, I'm okay with it. As an orc player, I'm happy to see the Imperial armies fighting amongst themselves. It brings me much joy. So we'll see how that goes.
And then finally bringing up the rear are going to be the Grey Knights. They're going to build some forces in B5.
Yep. So the Grey Knight's doing a little bit of building. We'll have to see if that build ends up being successful, because the build will actually fire after the invasion is resolved from the Adeptus Custodes. So if the Custodes are able to take over that territory before the build action fires, then it won't fire. So we'll see how that goes. So now, folks that are watching at home, you can see this is the attack map. So these are all of the battles that are happening. There aren't really any initiative conflicts. Everybody is, for the most part, it's clear what's happening. We've got a couple of interesting, armies leaving as they're being invaded situations between the orcs and the chaos, orcs and the chaos demons. And then we've got, of course, the very exciting looking multi-front battle with the Knights of Shadow down in I-5.
That's a lot of forces coming at you real fast.
It is
obviously on the advantage of the Tyranids, but Knights are still Knights.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it really depends on how Froggy the Knight's feeling, but he's being attacked by 12 force units versus his 6. If he were to do a last stand with 6 force units, he could probably wipe out the invaders. He would lose, but he would cause so much damage that the other armies would be just pretty much ripe for the picking from everybody else.
Be like, okay, I'm gonna last stand this and make everyone's day a little unhappier,
right?
Maybe very bitter of them. But we also have those knights are going to start attacking the looks like the Chaos Knights. No, Chaos is going to hit the Court of the King there.
Yeah, the Knights of Shadow are not in an ideal position, being attacked on 2 different fronts while also launching an invasion of their own. So there's definitely a risk-reward thing right here, but they have the potential to lose a lot of force units in this turn. We have some of the other folks who have just been sort of resting up until this point. Blood Angels, sort of chilling, moving around, not doing a whole lot of attacking. Same thing with the Ultramarines, just now launching at the Night Lords, but doing so pretty much from a position of safety. And then, of course, you've got Pedro's Raiders, who have done a pretty good job of expanding and consolidating, but no offensive action yet. And so we'll see. I think the only folks who, the Acadians are probably the only ones.
I was they're just looking at the map right now. A lot of this Chaos side is a lot of red, and a lot of these kind of Empyrean side is it's a lot.
There's still 4. Yeah. There's still 4 battles happening on the western side of the map.
Yeah.
The ones on the right side of the map definitely look more exciting, but it's only a few more battles. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, so all these battles are scheduled to go down Sunday, July 16th at the Nexus Game Lounge in Wichita Falls.
And come and join us to see who wins this big battle and who is going to pick up the pieces.
And be sure to watch us on Monday as we review each battle and discuss their impact on the campaign. You're not going to want to miss that.
And until then, I'm Jared.
And I'm Jason. And we'll see you on the battlefield.